First, with a bold new recommendation from the FDA that occurred this past week, they are now asking doctors to cut down on the amount of acetaminophen, like Tylenol, that typically is in some common painkillers, or take them with other painkillers. Dr. Samadi, what does this mean, and how dangerous? They talk about liver damage potentially. Is this if you overdose?
Eric, this is a very important medical news. FDA is reminding mostly the prescribers. We're talking to doctors now. Do not prescribe any of these medications that's more than 325 milligrams of acetaminophen, mostly because of liver toxicity. Now, in 2011, they gave a warning to the manufacturers, don't make them. And half of them kind of complied, the other half kind of went on with the flow. And we have medications out there, whether it's Percocet, Vicodin, Tylenol with codeine, they all have acetaminophen. This combination therapy, which a lot of people don't realize that it has acetaminophen, plus the over-the-counter medications. Now, this warning has nothing to do with over-the-counter. That's going to come in soon. But people have headaches, they have body aches, they have flus, so they may be taking some of this Percocet. In addition, they may take Tylenol. That additive amount of acetaminophen that you're going to get causes liver toxicity, which has led to about 22,000 visits to the ER, 150 deaths, and this is NIH causes one of the biggest toxicity out there that results to liver failure and liver damage and etc., even death. Now, what I want people to know is that if you get your prescription, not only look for acetaminophen, but look for terms such as APAP. APAP on prescription is exactly as acetaminophen, and you have to add it. Obviously, 4 grams a day is extremely toxic, so we want you to read the labels. Don't mix alcohol. That's a bad news. If you mix alcohol with this, tremendous pressure on the liver.
Mark, you get the prescription from the pharmacy. It's got that little bottle. It doesn't have all the ingredients on it. How do you know that you can trust your doctor that they're not overdosing on the acetaminophen?
This is why exactly, Eric, that the FDA is getting really strict on this, because as David mentioned, that back in 2011, they gave a warning already, and the manufacturers, only half of them complied. Doctors are not always on the ball with this. They're filling the prescription thinking, I'm giving out Percocet, I'm giving out Vicodin, I'm giving out Tylenol and codeine, but the key thing here, or one of the key things, is that there's a lot of acetaminophen in these pills. Now, if you're getting more than 325 milligrams per pill,
that's
right,
one tablet.
That's one tablet. The FDA is clamping down on that, saying that's the most you can have, and here's why.
Oh, wait, that's the most you can have with the other prescriptions?
That's the most you can have in a single pill. Okay. Why? Because look, if you're drinking alcohol, it decreases the amount of acetaminophen to cause liver failure. If you're getting it from your cold medication, as David mentioned, that doubles it. I mean, people are not going to sit there saying, let me calculate this. How much acetaminophen did I get in the day? Well, the magic number is 4 grams. If you get more than 4 grams of acetaminophen in a day,
nobody knows what that is. So
you're going to probably get into liver failure. Well, you know what? I don't even want people necessarily to know that number, 4 grams. What I want them to know is that acetaminophen accumulates and it's bad for your liver, and you can get into trouble without knowing it. So what you need to do, if you're out there, Jamie, what you need to know is which products have acetaminophen in them and which don't.
Why don't you take it off? Why don't they take it off the market? Because a lot of drugs, like you're saying, migraine medications, cold medications, they will have acetaminophen in them.
That's right. Absolutely. And another thing, absolutely. And they should either remove it entirely, or they're going to actually remove it entirely now if it's more than 325 milligrams.
Let me just say one other thing. I think, we don't want people to get scared. Yeah. We want to tell them that Tylenol or acetaminophen, when it's taken by the guidelines, it's fairly safe. You get into trouble, as Jamie made. If you take extra strength Tylenol, 500, you take 2 of them, you go out at night and you start drinking, then you have a sinus headache, you take some NyQuil, followed by Percocet. I think that's what you're trying to do, is that if the whole accumulation and additive amount can become toxic.
Right, and that adding to that alcohol to the equation. So if you have your cold medications, and here's what you have to look out for. You have to look out for nausea, for vomiting, for seizures, for headache. These are very serious symptoms. It's the #1 cause in most countries for liver transplant from medication. So that's a huge, huge problem. Okay, and you don't want to get to that point. We have an antidote for it, Eric. You can take charcoal, but again, who wants to get into that emergency?
Talk to your doctor, follow the instructions, look at the box,
Eric,
to make sure
absolutely. The toxicity that Mark is talking about is extremely important, because you don't recognize whether you have a flu symptoms or you're really overdosing it. So
All right, we're going to talk about alcohol now. So definitely ask your doctor what drugs you're on and whether or not they have acetaminophen, especially if you're adding it over the counter.